Today's video is gonna be a first impression and a review of the new Benefit Concealer collection. I went to a Benefit Cosmetics event some days ago where we were told about the new concealers, and actually there's only like one new concealer, but they're relaunching some of their old concealers as well, and I'll tell you all about that and show you their new names and how they look now, new packaging, everything like that. And we got this cute little thing right here, which I'm so excited about. I haven't even opened it yet, but it's called Benefit Boi-Ing Erase Case Concealers to Cover Loads of Little Problems. You and I were gonna be best friends. Hopefully you'll be able to see that this bag is shaped like a pencil, which is so freaking cute. I love it. And the entire vibe from the event was actually a very back to school kind of thing. The Benefit girls, they always make the best events, and it was just so much fun. Oh my god, look at that! We get so many things. We got some pencils, pink pencils that says Benefits got you covered. Yes. Time for a real life retouch. Oh, so you can say which of the concealers actually works for you for different things like junk food binging or all-nighters, ex-boyfriends. We all know that. We've got some mini erasers, some heart-shaped clips as well. That is so cute. I love it. And lastly, the 4 concealers, which this video is all about. As I said, 3 of them, they're not new, but one of them is, and this one is the Airbrush Concealer, which is the newest concealer from Benefit. But we'll go through all of them. I'm really excited. And as you may be able to tell, I'm not wearing anything on my skin right now. No concealer, no foundation, no nothing. This is how I look when I wake up in the morning, and we need some concealer. So I am gonna be using the different concealers on my skin today as well, so you can see how they work and where I would use them and how you can use them, because some of them you can also use for other things than just concealer, but I'll show you that later. The first concealer that I want to talk about is the Hydrating Concealer. This one is the old Fake Up concealer, but in new packaging, and it's gotten a new name as well. So this one is supposed to be the most hydrating of all of the concealers, which means that if you've got really dry and flaky skin, this is gonna be amazing for you. It is also the one with the sheerest coverage, so it won't cover like pimples or stuff like that. But once again, if you do have a tiny bit of redness, and if you're once again really dry underneath the eyes or around your nostril area, your chin, wherever, this is gonna be amazing for you because it will cover a tiny bit, as I said, sheer coverage, but it will also hydrate a lot. So the new packaging looks like this, really cute. Still comes in this kind of a stick form. As you can see, it kind of reminds me of a lip balm. I always feel like that with this one. And I really love the new packaging. I think it's really cute. That's the thing with Benefit. They're always on point with some fun and really cool packaging. And the product looks like this. I hope that you can see that in the middle you've got the actual concealer color, which will give you a tiny bit of coverage, and around it in the circle you've got the kind of like hydrating ingredients. For me personally, I have tried this one before and I used to not really like it. The only way that I could actually use it was actually as kind of like a lip balm. And I know that sounds really crazy, but the great thing about this one is that it erases a tiny bit of your own natural color in your lips. So if you've got very colored lips like me, for example, this gives a bit of that nudie shade on your lips, which I really like. And also I'm gonna be using it actually around my nostril area. I am a tiny bit dry around here because I've been blowing my nose and so on. So it's great for winter time actually, or if you get really dry in your skin during summertime. So I'm just using, as you can see, a tiny bit, rubbing it in with my fingers. And the more you use the outside, the more of the hydrating ingredients you get. So you can kind of like decide how nude you want your lips to be. There you go. I really like that. As you can see, it's toned down my own natural lips now, and the lips also feel much more hydrated now. Some lip balms are so sticky and just really not that nice to wear, but this one, it both erases a tiny bit of color, so it gives that nude shade if you like that, of course, but it also hydrates without being sticky. And as I said, I also use it around my nose. I just zoomed you in a tiny bit so you can see. You can use a brush to blend it in, but I like to use my fingers because it also works in the hydrating ingredients. So for around my nose, I just pat it on with my finger. And hopefully you'll be able to see that it also takes a tiny bit of the redness around my nose But once again, this is not really for that ultra coverage. So for those of you who've got really dry to flaky skin that really needs some hydration, this is gonna be amazing for you. And also, as I said, if you want to use it on your lips, you want a tiny bit of lip balm on, but also a tiny bit of a nudie tint, this is really, really cool for that. I love that it's kind of like a 2-in-1 concealer and lip color. The next concealer that I want to share with you is the Brightening Concealer, and this is also an oldie in new clothes with a new name. This is the Old Erase Paste from Benefit. As you may or may not know with that one is supposed to be a bit more of a corrector kind of thing because it's got a bit more of a peachy undertone, so it's really good for underneath the eyes. But let me show you this one. So the new packaging for the Brightening Concealer looks like this, really, really cute and very nice travel size. And this concealer, as I said, is more for correcting because it's got a bit more of a peachy undertone to it, as you will be able to see. And therefore it's really good for brightening up underneath the eyes. As you can see, I've got very red dark circles underneath my eyes, so this is gonna be amazing for me to brighten up right there. And also, if you've got darker skin tones and you've got some discoloration around on your skin and you want it to be a bit more evened out, this can also be really useful for you guys. Here is the concealer up close, and the texture is very creamy once again. That's one thing that I love about all the concealers. They're very creamy, very easy to work with. With these kind of concealers that are in these tubes, I would either use my finger because I will also warm up the product and warm it into my skin when I apply it, or I would use a beauty blender. And because you know how much I love using a beauty blender for my corrector and concealer underneath my eyes, I'm going to be using this one today. But once again, just to let you know, you don't have to use a beauty blender. You can easily just use your fingers to apply it. Dipping it into the concealer, not too much. A little goes a long way because it is a bit more full coverage. And then I just applied right where I've got the dark circle. And just go back and forth and dot it in. And also right in here where I've got a really dark circle, I also use it right in there. Before, after. I really do hope that you see a big difference because I definitely do. Many people, they don't really feel as if they need a corrector as long as they've got a concealer, but as you can see, it makes such a big difference. And if you're not really sure about what the difference is between a corrector and a concealer, basically, as the name suggests, the corrector corrects any dark circles or any color or discoloration, and concealer conceals imperfections, blemishes, redness, stuff like that. Just gonna do the other side as well because this looks crazy. Because it is a very creamy and nice texture, I would actually say that it goes for almost all skin unless you are really dry or really oily. And I honestly do feel like the result speaks for itself. The last concealer that I want to show to you before showing you the totally new concealer is the Industrial Strength Concealer. And this is once again one of the old concealers that was called Boi-Ing Concealer in that round packaging, which is their full coverage concealer, which means that if you've got some blemishes or redness or any imperfections that you really want to cover, this is one to go for. This is the full coverage that will cover everything. The new packaging looks like this. As you can see, it's still in this kind of like a box and still the same kind of formula and texture, really creamy, very nice and full coverage. So once again, I would say that it's great for almost all skin types unless you've got that really dry skin. If you apply it on really dry skin, it will sit in those flaky areas, so be aware of that. And to me, this is once again one of those concealers that are actually multiple use products because I love using these full coverage pot concealers as eyeshadow primers. Once again, you can use your fingers to apply it, so you really get to work it in and warm it into the skin. But other than that, you can use a brush as well if that's what you want, but you can also use, as I would do, the magical beauty blender. Once again, we're up close and personal. I want to use this one once again using the beauty blender, and hopefully you'll be able to see that I've got a tiny bit of some small imperfections right here in this area. I've got some redness right here in my nose and also a tiny bit on my chin. So just dab your beauty blender into it very lightly because once again, a little goes a long way, and apply it where you need it. On my nose, because God knows I need it. And here comes the little extra tip from me to you guys exclusively. Use a little concealer blending brush, take a bit of this and apply it onto your eyelids. In that way, it also cancels out any redness, and it also helps you if you want to apply some eyeshadow, because the eyeshadow will stick down to your eyelids much better. So as you can see now, I've used the Boi-Ing Industrial Strength Concealer in my T-zone mainly, and also as an eyelid primer, and it works wonders. Already now you can see that it looks so much more pulled together. My skin looks much more even in its skin tone. If you do have those really big pimples or spots or anything like that, once again, lifesaver. And it's great to have with you in your handbag, on your school bag if you're going to school and you're afraid of any pimples popping through. I feel like that I saved the best and the most exciting thing till last. This is the new concealer from Benefit called Airbrush Concealer. I love that they've made this kind of like middle concealer, because sometimes the full coverage concealer, the industrial strength concealer, can be a bit too much, and sometimes the hydrating concealer or the brightening concealer can just be too little. So this is the new in between those concealers, because this has got medium coverage. So to those of you who doesn't really want to wear any sort of foundation on your skin, this can actually be a new little lifesaver, because it looks so natural on the skin and you won't even be able to see it. That is honestly why it's called Airbrush. So the packaging looks like this, and hopefully, as you may be able to see, the packaging is a bit bigger than, for example, the brightening concealer, but I do like that, because once again, for me, this is kind of like a stand-in for any foundation, and I'm gonna be using it right out here a tiny bit on my cheek area, because right now I'm not wearing anything out here, and I just feel like having a tiny bit of coverage so it's a bit more even. So for small imperfections or redness, this is gonna be amazing and more than enough when it comes to coverage. But for those big juicy pimples, that was not a nice description, but for those, definitely go for the full coverage. Texture is a bit more, I don't even know if I want to say whipped, but it's a bit more of a creamy formula, which is really, really nice. Once again, it gives that really nice and natural finish on the skin. So it is definitely much more light in texture and in formula than the industrial strength concealer, so that is how you know the difference. Once again, I'll just use a beauty blender to blend it in. Actually, a dew fiber brush would be really nice for this one. That will make it a bit more natural on the skin, but once again, I do like my beauty blender because I can shear it out or build it up, dab it in, and use it a tiny bit. And because I don't really want a full coverage out here, I'm kind of like buffing it out, as you can see. And I would actually say as a little extra tip that if you feel like that you still need something underneath the eyes, use this airbrush one, because in that way it's not going to be too thick. I feel like that the industrial strength one will just be too much. There you go. Hopefully you'll be able to see that my cheeks, they look a bit more even in the skin tone now. Use it underneath the eyes when you're mixing it with the brightening concealer, and also use it on those areas where you just want a tiny bit of coverage and a bit more of an even skin tone, but not too much. And it doesn't really matter whether you've got dry skin or oily skin, it is somewhere in the middle. So once again, most people will be able to use it. And lastly, I'm just going to be using a tiny bit of translucent powder just to set down the concealers, so they will stay on for the entire day. And I would say especially on your eyelids, that's really, really important, because else it will go kind of like streaky and weird, and it just doesn't look that nice. Here is the finished result of the 4 concealers from Benefit, and also the new one, which is so amazing. A great launch, and I love that they've all got new names and new packaging, and they kind of like have this little family now. And there's something for everybody. There's something for those of you who don't really need that much coverage, but there's also something for you who need a lot of coverage. But I really hope that this first impression and review of the 4 concealers from Benefit was helpful for you guys. I personally think it's a really nice collection, and I love the Benefit they come out with so many different products for concealers. But that's one thing that I really look up to and love about Benefit, the diversity of the products, and there's something for everybody. But thank you so very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. That would make me so happy. I'll leave links to all the new products in the description box if you want to check them out. And remember, I love you all to the moon and back and everywhere else. Mwah.